Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Klinsman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, coming to you, as always, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project, as well as DraftKings. Pardon me there. And DraftKings, you can go to thebamboozleproject.com, check out all of their good stuff over there on their gear. And when you go to checkout and you're ready to pay up, you can use promo code MYPB, and magically 20% of your total bill will just randomly disappear.
While you take a sip, let me tell the people what's going on today.
I was going to do it, but you can go ahead.
I can do this part?
You can do it.
Okay.
You're better at this.
So we are live right now, not only on Facebook, not only on YouTube, but for the first time ever, we are live in studio on Instagram. Kicker is, if you put your comments and questions on Facebook, we can talk to you and bring them up. If you put your comments and questions on YouTube, we can talk to you, we can pull them up.
Right.
Instagram, we can mention you, we can look at you, but we can't bring them up. So if you want to be part of the MYPB show, go to Facebook or YouTube, or you could just casually watch on Instagram, but we will not be able to pull your comments up if you're coming from Instagram.
Okay, but they can still comment there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that is a good thing for sure, and they can do that. So, all right, this is episode number 140 on the Spanish dial. So for those following at home, that would be 140. You can email us your questions at any time at mypbshow@gmail.com. You can DM us on the Instagram platform. And man, did you guys DM us, or I guess it's not technically a DM. Did you guys send us questions to answer today, and we are going to tackle them? You can listen to the show on Spotify and iTunes. You can also watch the show live on YouTube. And as Dougie previously mentioned, you can also today, if all goes well, we'll see.
It's going well.
Oh, it's going? Okay.
We have thousands of people tuning in.
Okay. I'm sure
from
all
interwebs
7
of Instagram.
And you can be watching the show live on Instagram. And if you go on to SeatGeek and buy any event ticket across the United States or even Europe, I'm told, you can use the promo code MYPB. And you can check out and save yourself $20 off your total order.
It's basically a hot dog and a beer.
Maybe not even that much these days. Not even that much. When I was at the game in DC with my wife and kids, the amount of money that we spent on food in just to get them dinner was well above $20. We'll leave it at that. Nice. All right. So before we get to answering your questions, because I see in the chat that people the chat is blowing up already. So I can see that you guys want us to get to your questions, and we will. Let's just recap for a minute where we're at. We were on last Wednesday. We thank Molly Walker for coming on from the New York Post. She was incredible. She will be back in a couple of weeks, I believe. So Molly Walker comes on, and the night before the Rangers beat Seattle, and at the time had won 2 in a row. They had beat Washington a couple days previously at home and beat a very good Seattle team. And things were, I don't want to say looking good, but we're looking improved, right? You kind of had some mojo. You had two-game winning streak. I don't know if 2 games is considered a streak, but you had won 2 in a row. We'll leave it at that. And you felt good kind of going out west. The Rangers go out west to Thursday night, and they go to Vegas. Now, the Vegas is always interesting to me because I always love watching a game there because I just find it, I don't know why I'm fascinated that the NHL is in Vegas. I think it's so cool. I don't know why. So if you stayed up and watched the Vegas game, in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, the Rangers were dominant. Like there was a part of it where I believe I had said to my wife, it looks like the Rangers are on a power play, and they're not. They were all over the Vegas Golden Knights, who didn't have Jack Eichel. They didn't have Adin Hill. And then the Rangers fall and lose the game. But what was frustrating was they let in 2 goals in that first period. It completely changed the momentum of that game. And the Rangers just never got their legs back. Like they looked it was almost like the Rangers thought this was a 10-minute game. The first 10 minutes they played great. Then they did nothing after that. And after that, couldn't get anything going, and they went on to lose out in Vegas. 2 nights later, they go to LA. Now, what's interesting about the LA game was it was Jonathan Quick's return. The coaching staff made the right decision in having Jonathan Quick play that game. The Rangers lose 2-1. I don't know that it's a game that I would dissect a ton from. But I will say this. Scoring is the issue, right? You scored 1 goal in Vegas. You scored 1 goal in LA. Scoring seems to be an issue, right? Because if we can get on the Rangers that defensively they haven't been good, let up 1 goal in LA is not bad. They played pretty good defense against Seattle a couple nights previously. Offense was the culprit there. So the Rangers...
both games, we lost 1-0.
No, they lost 5-1 in Vegas, and
gotcha.
they lost 2-1
Gotcha.
in LA. The next night, they go play an Anaheim team that is not very good.
Okay.
And the Rangers are down 2-0. Now, it is amazing to me at that point that I said to myself, this is now where you're going to see if this team's really in a slump. Because if there's any mojo, if there's any passion, you find a way to come back against an Anaheim team that, number one, is the most penalized team in the NHL, has not been playing well. They had lost the night before to San Jose, where the Rangers go tonight. We all know how bad San Jose is, particularly with their coach. Ranger fans know that well. And the Rangers find a way to really have a good third period, come back and salvage a win 5-2. Now they go up to San Jose tonight to complete the road trip. And look, if you can win tonight, and I'm going to sit here and tell you the Rangers should, because San Jose is not good.
Okay.
If the Rangers can win tonight and you end up taking a 4-game West Coast trip and you go 2-2, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
It's wash.
It's a wash. West Coast trips are not supposed to be easy. I think Ranger fans, rightly so, might be a little spoiled from earlier in this year where they had their other Western trip, which was the Canada stops plus Seattle, and they went 5-0 and they swept the road trip. That's not how road trips are supposed to go. So you can get frustrated, and you have a right to be, and there are a lot of issues. We're going to get to them. But if you win tonight, and again, you should, they need, it would be fine if you went 2-2.
You are a little spoiled. I'm looking at the standings right now. The Rangers are sitting at 29 wins, the top of the Metropolitan Division. In the Atlantic, we have 29 wins by the Bruins. West Coast, top is 32 wins by the Canucks, and followed by the Jets and Avalanche with 30. You're right up there.
Okay. I want to say something, and I debated whether I wanted to say this or not. But I'm going to say it.
You're going to say
I'm going to say it. I was thinking yesterday.
Yeah.
We put out there to people, submit your questions.
Yes.
We're going to get to them in 2 minutes, stand by. But I want to say something first.
Okay.
The Rangers started, I believe it was 18-4. Incredible run, right? And if we go back to those moments, which was really October and November, where they are red hot, everyone is talking about the New York Rangers. They are the number one team in any power ranking you see, right? You know what we all did? And I did, and I'm guilty of this too. So I'm not going at anyone in particular.
Yeah.
But you know what Ranger fans did?
What did we do?
Picture this. It's a summer day.
Yes.
It's not like it is today with the white stuff on the ground outside.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a summer day.
It's snow, people. That's snow outside.
Yes. We have to say these things because this day and age we'll get in trouble. So you're outside.
Yes.
It's the summer.
Yes.
It's 95 degrees.
Okay.
You're with your family, your friends, whatever. You're in someone's backyard.
Yes.
Okay. And I like that you're closing your eyes for this, by the way, and really playing along.
Playing.
It makes it a little bit more realistic.
Let me get in the lounge chair. I'm in my beach chair, right? Beach chair.
We'll get you a strawberry daiquiri or whatever you like to drink.
Beach chair.
Yes.
On the beach. Okay.
You're in your friend's backyard.
All right.
In
barbecue.
Yeah, you're at a barbecue.
Fire pit.
Yes. You're in your backyard.
In the chair.
You're in the backyard.
Yep.
Now, it's 95 degrees out. Your friend is making hot dogs, hamburgers, and steak on the grill. Right? It is roasting hot.
Yeah, so hot out here.
The kids are running on a 1980 slip and slide in the corner.
Get off the shed.
The kids are on a slip and slide.
Yes.
Now, someone comes out because it is so hot. You don't usually drink Kool-Aid, right? It's not your drink of choice. But someone comes out and they have a picture of red Kool-Aid. You are sweating. It is 93 degrees. Are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
Is it coming from the Kool-Aid man saying, "Oh yeah"?
But listen, are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
Absolutely.
100%. That's what Ranger fans did in October and November. You drank the Kool-Aid that this team, it was at 18-4, was as good as an 18-4 team. And we literally told you every single week that this went on, this team will come back to earth. They all do. They always do.
Yeah.
The one exception of the rule
Yes.
where I could say, like, you're wrong is last year where the Bruins went on an unconscious run for a 6-month regular season, destroyed the President's Cup record, set every record in the world, and they were out in the first round.
They came back to earth.
They came back to earth at the wrong time. The Ranger team is not, and I'm not saying the Rangers aren't good. They have the 4th best odds to win the cup. I think they have a chance. They do. But they are not as what we saw in the beginning of the year. Ranger fans drank the Kool-Aid thinking that they were that good. They're not that good. They're good. And they can still win the cup. They have the 4th best odds. But Ranger fans drank the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
So when everyone now is panicking because they're not playing at 18 wins in the 22-game pace, oh my God, the sky's falling. The Laviolette message is falling out. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy's awful. Trade this moron. It's because you drank the Kool-Aid when they were 18-4 that was who they really were. And they're not. They're good.
You need adversity.
But
you need to shake things up. You need adversity.
And I'm not getting on them saying that the Rangers are not good or they're not going to make the playoffs or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I want them to win the Stanley Cup as badly as you do, as bad as anyone. And I'll be there to support them to do it. But if you think that this team and this roster, and look at this roster and look at the questions we have to answer in a minute about the roster, which should tell you something, they're not an 18-4 team and they're not going to play at that level for 6 months. So
everybody wants to throw the baby. Everyone wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, everybody drank the Kool-Aid. So, okay, all right. Let's get Nikolai's point up because that's exactly where we're going. So I put up a poll yesterday.
Yes,
and it was get the numbers out. Where was everybody's worry rank? So what I did yesterday, we put up as a poll on the Instagram page, and I said, all right, let's rate the amount of worry that you have. And Instagram only allows you to do 4 different options. So there was option 1 is 1 to 2. Option 2 was 3 to 5. Option 3 was 6 to 8. And option 4 was 9 to 10. The overwhelming majority, 56% of the vote was 3 to 5. 27% was 6 to 8. So if we add that up, that's 83% falls between 3 and 8, which I think is accurate. I don't think that it shouldn't be 1 or 2. Because you shouldn't not be worried at all. I mean, there's issues, right? I mean, you have to be like blind to not see them.
There's always going to be things that you need to
There's always
better.
things.
You can always get better.
But it's also not a 9 to 10. So I think the 83% of the people that voted somewhere between 3 to 8, they got it right. So let's take some of these questions. What I tried to do, because it's impossible. We're not going to get them all in because there's so many of them. But what I tried to do is where there were similar questions, kind of condense them into one question. So you can kind of get like 4 questions in one.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Before you dive into the Instagram ones, let's reward some of the people who are here live who have some questions.
Okay. So let's take David's question at the top. And that is, what defenseman is going to get moved for a winger? I only say this because they have a log jam on D. I don't think Wheeler is a top line winger anymore. What is the return? So, Wheeler is 100% not a top line winger anymore. But you're not going to get a return for him because I don't really think anyone's going to take him. What defenseman is going to get moved? That is a great lead into one of the more popular questions we got, and that is a ton of K'Andre Miller hate. I mean, there really was a ton of K'Andre Miller hate. K'Andre Miller, to me, I am a fan of K'Andre Miller. However, he's not untouchable. There's very few people on the Rangers roster, and I'd have to actually think about it, who would be untouchable. The first 2 that would come to my mind would be Igor and Panarin, and I'm not really sure that I would put anyone else up there. And yes, I would throw Kreider in that mix to be traded if the right offer evens Zibanejad with the year he's had. So I think Miller might be the guy that would get moved. You're not going to move Trouba. Also, again, the Trouba contract would not really be movable. Lingering, you need, right? You need that because one of the popular themes with the questions was the Rangers lack tenacity and toughness, and Lingering would probably be your toughest player. So you're not going to move that. You're not going to move Adam Fox. I read some ridiculous things yesterday about trading Adam Fox. I'm not even going down that road. That's a waste of time for me. So K'Andre Miller could be there. Schneider, I mean, if you wanted to trade Schneider, I don't think anyone would be opposed to it. And I don't think, I mean, look, I think anyone in their right mind would trade Zach Jones in a heartbeat. He's awful. We've had this discussion forever, But I'd like to think that other GMs around the league are smart enough to see that and know that if you're going to get any sort of return for Zach Jones, it's not going to be good. Barkley Goodrow would be another name that the Rangers would love to move. The contract is terrible, but because the contract is so terrible, you probably would have to take up some of the cap hit and have to pay some of the contract. And I don't know who's going to do that. So, yeah, I it's a good question. I mean, I would think if you're going to move a defenseman, and I don't know that you're going to, but I would think out of the 6 that I could think of, I would think the most logical would be K'Andre Miller, but that doesn't mean that I think he's going anywhere. But they do need to move some offense. So a couple other questions. Can they trade K'Andre Miller? We just took that one. So this team needs a center. Is there any chance they would move Zach Jones? Again, they would move Zach Jones in a heartbeat, I would think, but I don't think you're getting a center back for Zach Jones. Chris wrote in the comments up above, Zach Jones for Sean Monahan. I can't see that another GM would make that deal. It would be great for the Rangers, but I just can't see that. So Goodrow, if you could put up Chris's last comment, you would have to add a first and a top prospect. I'm not sure if I'm the Rangers, and again, I'm not a Barkley Goodrow fan. The contract is terrible. It really is. But if you move Barkley Goodrow and your thought process is it's addition by subtraction to get rid of him, but to do that, I also have to add a first and a prospect. I'm not sure I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure that's helping the situation overall.
Yeah, I mean, like we said the last couple of weeks, getting rid of people and changing the roster drastically is not the option.
No,
if you can get a quick little piece here or there, fine, but like really, really moving pieces is not really the move.
Yes. All right, now we're getting into some tougher questions. You ready?
Yeah.
Is everyone ready out there that's commenting? Yeah. Okay. This one I liked.
Okay.
And I almost felt like it was targeted at me because I said this last week or the week before. Mm-hmm. How long is Capo Caco's defense going to be that he plays great defensively when he doesn't put up that many points? Like, how long are we going to use the excuse that, you know what, Caco's okay because he's good defensively, but, you know, he's the second overall draft pick. He should be putting up some points. It's a fair question.
As long as they mesh well and are winning and he's adding value. If he's not adding value, that excuse dwindles away. But if he's facilitating and keeping the offense moving and there's advantages. Mm-hmm. Why not?
Plural. I think it's a fair question. Capo Caco, if at the end of his career is known when you look back and the end of his career is that you sit there and you look at him and you say, you know what, he didn't put up a lot of points, but the Rangers were, you know, improved defensively when he was on the ice. For a second overall pick that's now playing on the top line with Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider, it's fair. That's a fair criticism. How long until you defend him? I would say this. I mean, you obviously give him the rest of this year, maybe next year as well, and then I believe the deal is up again. That's probably where it will end. Mm-hmm. So he would have to show some production either in the second half of this year or better yet in the spring, in the playoffs, or he would have to do it next year.
I mean, for lines to mesh well together, like you don't have the best player on every line playing together on one line. I mean, like unless there's like 5 seconds left on the clock or something, right? Like you need the lines to be a little bit spread.
Yeah, but with the point though about Caco, even though I can argue the other way, I'm not sure which way I would argue because it's a good point in this question that was asked, is if he's not putting up points, how long are we going to justify that by saying he's good defensively when he's taking up the top line right wing? I mean, it's fair. So the other question that came in, which kind of relates to this one, is would the Rangers look to transfer Lafreniere to the top line right wing to Caco's spot and Caco from the top line right wing to the second right wing, with the intentions being that it could help 5-5 where they are lacking 5-on-5. I don't hate this idea because if you remember before the season started, I wanted Alexis Lafreniere in the top line. Like I wanted him on the top line. However, right now, your best line is Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Panarin. And I'm not sure that you want to risk that altering the chemistry of the one thing that's working, even though you can possibly jumpstart the first line. Like if you knew it was going to work and it could get 2 lines rolling, it would. I would get worried if it backfired. You now took your 1 5-on-5 line and your second line that was working, and now you don't have anything.
And last year, Laugh had the most 5-on-5 points.
He was up there. Very good. Wow. You have become a new man.
Thank you.
Aside from what you said about the Devils walking in this room. So Chris brings up a good point, which is that the guy that drafted Zach Jones and convinced him to leave school early happens to be the president of the team that employs Monahan. Okay. I mean, look, Zach Jones, if you can get anything for him, it would be, I would take a supply of iced teas for a year at this rate. I mean, I'm not going to get a lot for him. You know what's painful?
What?
Now, we don't know if this is true, and I don't know that we ever will know.
Rumor has it
that when the Rangers 3 years ago used to talk about, and you hated this, where will Jack Eichel go? Where in the world is Jack Eichel at Carmen San Diego?
Yeah.
They said that the Rangers were going to offer Vitaly Kravtsov and Zach Jones as part of the deal. And Ranger fans were like, oh my God, that's our future. Vitaly Kravtsov's now in Russia and Zach Jones isn't even in the lineup.
Wow.
So the Panarin line can't keep the puck out of the net, and it's usually Laugh's guy. Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, there's risk in doing it, but I think also like the point here is you don't want to mess around with the one thing that's working to try and fix too, because if you don't have any lines working 5-on-5, you're then just become a special teams team, and you're then heavily relying on the power play. Another question: are they soft? Is the team too soft? Let me ask you something. Let me ask you. Let me answer that with a question. Is this the New York Rangers? Are they ever not soft? Like, are they ever? They are always soft. Yeah. As long as I can remember, they are always soft. Like I'll give, and Chris will appreciate this. We talk about Jurek on the show sometimes, a beer league, legend, and he's a legend because he's tough, right? Yeah. That is exactly what the Rangers lack. And Jurek will tell you, I've been on text messages with the guy through the years, that the Rangers lack toughness, right? So to answer your question, they're never tough enough. This has been a staple of the franchise forever. The last team that I could remember being tough was the 1994 team when you had Joe Kocur and Ty Domi and guys like that. But they're always soft. They're never tough enough. Yeah, they trade, and they also got rid of Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, it's not something that the Rangers are known for the past few years.
Yeah,
going out smacking people in the mouth.
No, it's not the type of hockey they play, and that type of hockey is always more important in the playoffs because it's a grind to get to that 16 win mark to win the cup than it is now. They're never tough enough. So I would think that, because there's another, and here's another question: what's the biggest deal that Chris Drury has to make? Well, I mean, I would like to think, because getting tough usually doesn't cost you a lot, because you'll have some team that's out of playoff contention, has a tough guy on their team that's not going anywhere. They might as well get something small in return for a team that needs to add size and grit. If I'm Chris Drury, I'm adding toughness. Now, there's other things he needs to add. There was news yesterday that Philip Hedl was skating again or coming back. And Molly Walker had a very good point last week when I asked her, and I said, what do you think the team does at the deadline? And she said, it all depends. If Philip Hedl is coming back, then you don't need to go out and fill a center hole. If he's not coming back, then clearly that's something that needs to be addressed. Well, here's my concern. And I guess I think we may post this as a poll today. Okay. If Philip Hedl comes back, and we all want him to come back, I'd love him to come back tonight. He's not, but I'd love him to come back. Are you banking on the fact that he's going to stay healthy? No, of course not.
Can't.
Right? He's too brittle. I mean, he has value when he's there. But if Philip Hedl comes back, okay, are you going to sit there and say, if I'm Chris Drury, Philip Hedl's back in the lineup, okay, we don't need to address the center issue because he's back. I'm not sure I'm doing that. This guy gets hurt so much that if I sat here and I said to myself, well, he's back and I don't need to address the center need because Philip Hedl is back. What's going to happen in 2 weeks when the deadline is gone, 2 weeks after the deadline, and he's hurt again, and I don't have anything? So I think you need center depth, even if he's back.
Absolutely. People get hurt all the time, absolutely, for him. So, like, where is he one of the pieces that can help jumpstart your struggling lines.
Yes, he is. And you can pull up Chris's comment, although I'm going to disagree with Chris here. Any NHL player can get hurt at any time. That's absolutely correct. However, I need to take into consideration the rate that Filipino gets hurt and the amount of concussions he had. Yes, anybody can take a puck to the teeth. Anybody can get hurt, but it's happening too much here with him. It is. It just is. And I like Filipino, and I want him to be healthy as much as anyone. But if he's going to continuously get hurt, I need to keep that in mind when I'm factoring the future with him, particularly when you have a trade deadline and I can't do anything after the trade deadline and the cup comes. Because if Chris Drury drank the Kool-Aid that we just talked about, and I'm going to assume that he did not, because he knows that. He's better than all of us. Let's assume that he runs the team. If he didn't drink the Kool-Aid, he still thinks that he's got a team right now that can get 16 wins in the spring. So he's going to do whatever he thinks he needs to do deadline-wise as we get that way there at the end of February, which will be here sooner than you think, and needs to figure out, hey, what can I do to help my team? And I don't know if counting on Filipino to be there, even if he's back long-term, is the smartest move.
You're getting trade value from Filipino.
You're not going to trade Filipino. You're going to keep him, but you can't just assume that because he's back, he's going to play through June.
True.
You would love to be wrong, but I don't think that's the smart thing. So, and Chris Lindgren is a different player than Hedl. Like he said, you just can't move. You just said you can't move Lindgren, who's always hurt too. Lindgren plays a different game. He gets hurt because he's a maniac, and he's also replaceable as a defenseman a lot easier than a center when this team right now has a gaping hole at center. So the $1 million question, which comes in from, I believe her name was Sammy from Dallas. What is the Rangers' main issue? So clearly there are issues where we voted 3-8 on the poll. Okay. So there's obviously issues here. What is the main issue right now with this team? There's a lot. What would the main issue
this
be?
week? It seems to be a little bit of offense and getting your lines working together. But 2 weeks ago, we were talking about should our backup goalie be the starting goalie? So it depends on what part of the season you're talking about.
What would be the main issue? So Nikolai says lack of heart character.
Wow. Going right for the jugular.
Yeah, you are with that. I don't know. I don't know that I'd go that far. Here's my main issue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let me give you process of elimination. Okay. I could take
multiple choice.
I could take offense, I could take defense, I could take goaltending. I'm not gonna take goaltending because I am going to believe, might be wrong, that the goaltending with Igor, Molly Walker said it again last week. He's the ultimate competitor. He's going to figure it out in the spring where he needs to. He's not going to be playing like a couple of these games he's had. So goaltending to me is not the issue. Defensively, I think they're not obviously playing well defensively. They're letting up a ton of high quality chances, but I think defensively they can lock it down when they need to. I think with Phil Housley there on the bench, I don't know why I'm going to think that that's not the main issue. To me, the main issue, and Chris kind of hits it if you want to put it up, and I don't want to pull out Kreider in particular, the main issue, it's the offense. The 5-on-5 play is not good at all. They are not getting 5-on-5 play from the top line at all. I like Mika Zibanejad, and I like the jokes that you guys are throwing on the chat right now that Chris Kreider is the greatest Ranger of all time. But you need to be getting something from the top line, and you need to be getting offense generated. If I look at the last couple games, if I throw out Sunday night in the one period that they played well against a really bad team, they scored 1 goal against Vegas. They scored 1 goal against LA. They scored 5 against Seattle the game before, who was on a back-to-back, right? And had just won 11 in a row. They didn't really score in DC the week before. Adam Fox had 2 goals. They didn't really score against St. Louis. Offensively, they've got to step it up. Now, Antoinette's point, defense is definitely an issue. Just because I'm not thinking it is the major issue or the number one issue does not mean it is not an issue, because it is. But they need to get the offense going, because if you go into the playoffs and you do not have your offense going and you're not scoring goals, I don't care how good Igor Shesterkin is. He's not going to stand on his head and have a 1.00 goals against average for 2 months. You need to score goals, and you need to score goals on 5-on-5. The power play, which has been so good, and I think is still number 1 in the league, Also, like when you were 18-4, don't drink the Kool-Aid. It's going to come back to earth.
Mhm.
Jonathan Quick is amazing. They signed a backup and he's 8-0-1 or whatever he was. He's going to come back to earth. Seasons are marathons. They are not sprints.
Very true. Very true.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
As a reminder, we are live here on Facebook, YouTube, and now Instagram. So if you put a question, comment, concern on Facebook and YouTube, we can pull it up. On Instagram, you got to come over to Facebook and YouTube, as your comments will not translate over. But welcome.
Yes, thank you. And we do see them. So
yes.
So that's a lot of the Ranger questions. They go to San Jose tonight, finish up the West Coast swing. They then will be home, one game home against Vegas on Friday night, and then go up to Ottawa, and then they are on a week break, which, let's face it, a lot of times the NHL break, or even I guess if you're an NFL team with a bye, as a fan, you don't like it because you want to watch games. You don't like your team being idle for, I guess it will be 9 days because the Rangers will be off. Saturday, they play in Ottawa, then they don't play at home to the following Monday against Colorado, so it's 9 days off. You don't like when your team doesn't play, and you also don't like when your team doesn't play when they're playing well, which the Rangers are not. The Rangers need to buy right now. They need to just get away. They need to step back. And congratulations, by the way, to Mitch and Trocheck, who got named yesterday to the All-Star team as well. Incredibly well-deserved. I mean, the guys have an incredible season. But they need the break. They need the break to get healthy, for sure. And they also need the break to just kind of step away, get back to basics, maybe like a mental break, especially Igor, and come back in February. Because remember something, February 5th, they play Colorado at home. The trade deadline is about 3 to 4 weeks later, and then about 5 weeks after that is the playoffs. So everything is going to speed up, and the speed that if you can get a week off, get healthy, mentally get away, refresh, it's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Thank you guys for all your questions. I apologize again for the ones that we didn't get to. We will do it again in a couple weeks. So,
well, if you're watching, you can put in the comment section right now.
Yeah, but we're going to everyone. But we're going to everyone's favorite sport of football.
Oh,
yes, in a moment. This is that now. So I'll say this: the people have complained. I don't know. Did I tell you this?
Wow,
we've got some. No, it's constructive criticism. I don't want to say complaint.
Okay.
There's been constructive criticism out there from more than one source.
Okay,
we'll leave it at that.
All right.
That when we switch content at like this part of the show, and we go to football, that's where we drop off. Goodbye, bye MYPB. It's fine, which is fair. However,
you don't have to.
However, I got good news for those people. Football's ending in 3 weeks.
True.
We're not going to be. We don't talk football in the end of February.
So here's the question, though.
Yes.
Would you, as an MYPB fan, if that was your feelings, would you rather us just be like, have a nice day and cut the show like now?
No.
Wouldn't you rather have us on a little longer?
No, because I think what we'll do is we're going to fill in.
Yeah.
We're also going to take out another. We're going to put two criticisms into one solution.
Okay.
Criticism is football comes on the back end of the show, we bail. And the other criticism, we heard it last week, if you remember, was we don't cover anything outside of the Eastern Conference or like the Ranger world, right?
Okay.
Fair. Completely fair. We don't. It's a fact. We don't. Not that we don't. We don't do enough of it. I totally agree.
Expand our horizons.
We're gonna take the part of the show where we would go away from hockey. We're gonna keep it on hockey, but we're also going to cover like Western Conference stuff.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie,
we could cover the Knicks.
I don't know much else besides Ranger stuff because that's the stuff we talk about. I need to expand
well,
my
you
horizons.
rolled timeout. You rolled in the studio this morning, and the first words you
throw me under the bus.
No,
like
I'm
that?
gonna throw you under the bus because you rolled into the studio this morning and started talking like you were part of the Devils Nation all of a sudden.
I grew up in New Jersey. The Devils are the only team that represents New Jersey. So
why do you
I
think
don't
that
buy
is?
in.
Why
I
do you
don't
think
buy
that
in.
is?
You live in this state. You're saying we're dirty Jersey and we don't deserve a sports team?
No,
because I disagree. I think we deserve a sports team. I think the Nets should have stayed in New Jersey and been the New Jersey Nets, and they shouldn't have gone to Brooklyn. That was the worst thing that ever could have happened.
The other thing, speaking of basketball, the other thing that we heard, I haven't decided on this because I think people will riot if we do this. Is that why don't we cover I'm actually ironically wearing the shirt today. It's totally ironic. It's not for this reason, but why don't you cover the Knicks?
So wait, the people said, nah, we don't like football, but let's go to basketball.
It was a different person who wrote that.
Okay.
Totally different person.
So in the comment section, is that something you guys would like? In the comment section, Would you guys either like A, we just end it at hockey or end it at Rangers and see you later? B, we still talk hockey, but we expand our horizons. C, we talk about football. Or D, instead of football, we talk about the Knicks. Or E, are we at E?
No, but thank you, Antoinette, for
E
that
at
comment,
all the above.
calling you out. And she's right. There's a lot of Ranger fans in New Jersey, too.
No,
If
this wasn't a fan thing. I'm just saying we live in New Jersey. This is the one team that wants to represent us. I'm saying just because you're a Ranger fan doesn't mean you have to hate Devils and vice versa. We can commingle and cohabitate.
Okay. Do you want me to get B-Rock involved in the show real quick with that comment? He's been very quiet.
Go ahead.
Ready? One comment's going to get him really riled up. Here we go.
Ahead.
If you go, to Antoinette's point, if you go to a Ranger game in New Jersey, you think it's a Ranger home game.
Ryan, do you have anything you want to say to that? I mean, you don't have to. You don't have
to want to say that because he knows I'm right.
See, how can I bring people to the table when you start off with comments like that?
I wasn't trying to bring him to the table. I was answering.
You're trying to keep him away from the table.
I was proving Antoinette's point. All right. Anyway, Rangers in San Jose tonight. 2 more games before the break. Then see, the longer hockey comments are coming in. We will get to longer hockey in 2 weeks when football is gone, and then we will have a programming decision that the big wigs at Undefeated Media will have to tell us what we're doing in the fall. That when football comes back again, because it comes around, and we deal with September coming around the corner, and the NFL season returns, and the Rangers start training camp and preseason. The big wigs at Undefeated Media are going to have to tell us how to divide up our show, because do we stick with football? Do we listen to the comments from people? Do we minimalize football a little less? It's going to be. It's going to
go back to our roots, and we showcase Ranger fans who own businesses.
So we can do that. Yes. Hello, my name is Jeff. All right, going away. So we know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can get $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Currently, by the way, the New York Rangers whose Kool-Aid you drank, have the 4th best odds to win the Stanley Cup at plus 1,000. Download the DraftKings Sports app now with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL games and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Or in Connecticut, help is available for problems gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly.
Wow,
yes. So NFL,
always play responsibly.
This past weekend, did you watch the games?
Absolutely.
Well, I didn't.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, football's frowned upon now, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
All right. So the first game, Houston ran with Baltimore for a while. It then obviously, turned around real quick. The night game, Green Bay, had chances to win that game. San Francisco is not as good as people think, by the way. I mean, they could win the Super Bowl, but they're not as good as people think. The first game on Sunday, the Tampa game was close. Detroit pulled away in the 4th. It got a little closer in the end. And then this Buffalo game, man, it's bothering me.
That Buffalo game should have had more of a epic ending. The kicker blew it by missing that kick. It would have been tied, maybe going into overtime.
But people that think
epic,
I'm not getting on you because you said this before the show, but that kick is a 44, I think it was 44 yards in the wind in Buffalo in January. It's not a gimme kick.
I'm not blaming just him. It could have got closer. I mean, the 2 plays before that, both wide receivers had the ball slip through their fingers.
Right. Stephon Diggs dropped right through his hands.
Yeah, and that would have been a touchdown.
If you're Buffalo,
yeah,
we're not a Buffalo Bills show, and we never will be, and that's fine. I feel bad. Like my wife, I've said this, went to college up that way.
Same with me.
Right, you went to University of Buffalo, right?
I went to Canisius, but it's right next to UB. Yeah,
so it's in Buffalo, right? And I see like my wife's friends from college, who I all like. Well, I see them. We don't see them anymore. But my wife's friends from college, who I know, maybe I stay in touch with them on social media, or we see them occasionally. They live up there for the Buffalo Bills. Like, it's almost at a point where there's few franchises, and I'm biased that I would say, like, the Ranger fans are passionate, they love it. I mean, I actually think the Bills are another level of like loyal and dedication, right?
Yeah.
This franchise cannot get over the hump.
Yeah.
If you are the general manager of the Bills,
Mm-hmm.
are you giving Bill Belichick a call?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a coaching problem. Do we think that he's lost the locker room? Like, I know that there was times when Stefan Diggs was, talking smack a little bit about Josh Allen. Like, is there tension there? Is the locker room together? Are they starting to divide? Are they starting, if there is locker room problems, then that is a phone call.
Bill Belichick is a perfect fit there. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. One, he can still screw over the Jets. It's in the division. He can screw over the Patriots, which in the back of his mind he would love because his team would be better. He knows how to beat the Dolphins. He's been in the division. Mm-hmm. He's got a quarterback there that's great in Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying he's better than Tom Brady. He's a different quarterback. He's a lot more mobile, but he's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's better, right? So he's got that. He can fix the defense there. He's a cold weather coach playing in the cold weather and the elements. He knows what to do. I mean, look, I don't like Bill Belichick at all. I respect the guy, but I can't stand him. But if I'm the Bills, and maybe it's not fair to Sean McDermott, but you almost sit there and you say, look, dude, you've had a bunch of chances. Mm-hmm. You haven't gotten over the hump. Josh Allen is not getting younger. Mm-hmm. If Sean McDermott got fired there, and say he got fired in the sense where there were still NFL openings out there, like I think there's 5 left. I think 3 got filled with last night. Tennessee got filled. Mm-hmm. But if there's openings out there, he's going to get considered. He'll get another coaching job as he should. I don't know. Like I think if I'm the Buffalo Bills, why would I not look that direction or at least make the phone call? Mm-hmm. It seems like it's a tailor-made spot for Bill Belichick. Yeah. Better than it. I don't understand the intrigue of Atlanta.
No, either.
I mean, what?
Maybe it's warmer.
Well, you're in a dome. I mean, it's warmer, but you're playing in a dome.
Snows every day in Buffalo.
Did you see the question the other day where the Tampa Bay reporter asked the Tampa Bay coach going into Detroit, what would it be like what do you think about playing in the cold weather? He's like, well, they play in the dome. I tell you, if you look, listen, kids, I'm going to give you a little PSA. If you want to be a sports reporter, right, and someone tells you that you're not good at it, or you don't know enough about sports, play yourself that clip. That person has a media credential that asked Todd Bowles going into conference championship weekend what it is like what's the preparation like to go into Detroit to play in cold weather. And Todd Bowles handled that really well. Because, I mean, that's the other thing. In this day and age, if he went off on the woman or said something, I mean,
it doesn't even have to be a gender thing.
No, it's not. Whoever. But I'm saying, it's the same thing. Too. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, it
could have snowballed.
It could have gotten bad.
Pun intended, snowballed, because there's no snow.
I get it. There's no snow. So this weekend you have actually, I think they're 2 really good games. Kansas City at Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Baltimore is favored, I think, by 2.5, or at least it opened to 2.5. That's a pick'em game. It's starting to get hard for me. Like, the more I'm seeing this, it's just hard to now go against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like, I'm just not betting on it.
So there's the problem is, everybody, you kind of want to see the Ravens go against San Francisco. Like, that's like a game that you want to see. But I also want, like, Detroit to win. You know what I mean?
I'm pulling for Detroit.
But, like, I don't want to rob myself of that good game of Ravens San Francisco. So, like, there's no real winning here. And, like, the Chiefs have won enough. I'm not, like, I don't care if they're in the Super Bowl or not.
I don't particularly care for John Harbaugh. It's not that I don't like him. I just have never. So that matchup, I don't. Right, we've seen Kansas City. I don't really care. I would like to see Detroit. Like, have you seen the videos of, like, the fans reacting to their first playoff win? Like, guys sitting on their couch in tears. Like, how do you not root for that? And Dan Campbell has got to be, like, the most likable coach.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So, yeah, I would think that, but I would think San Francisco wins. But San Francisco is beatable, as you saw.
So, what matchup you would be excited about? You're a god.
Would be excited.
Like, I'm going to have this team play this team.
I would like Detroit to win. I guess I don't really care in the AFC, to be honest with you. I don't. And I don't mean that negatively. I just don't. I don't have a preference.
So then I agree with you, and then my answer would be I would like to Detroit to beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl, because that would mean they went through San Francisco and they went through the Ravens. They beat both of the teams that were the number one and everyone thinks are the best. And I don't think the Chiefs are where they're normally at.
No, they're not.
So like seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I feel like whoever beats the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it's like, oh, this wasn't,
But that's another point, what you just said, because the Chiefs are not where they normally are at, and Buffalo had them in a home game and still didn't win. That's where the level of concern is.
Yeah. Well, right? I mean, they had the lead, like it was back and forth, but like the Bills had the upper hand for most of that. Like, you know what I mean? You were confident the Bills were pulling this off, and then they just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So when we are back on, we will have the Super Bowl matchup. I do not know, programming note, if we're on next week. The Rangers are on a bye. Coincidentally, we might have a bye week also. We'll keep you posted on that.
But I would love to see Detroit win everything.
I would too. I think like if you don't have if your team is not in it and you don't hate one of the teams that's still in it, you're just pulling for Detroit. How could you not? Yeah. Right? Like Dan Campbell is just the best.
And the fact that they would have to go through San Francisco and then the Ravens, like it's not like they like kind of almost.
Or wait a second, we forgot something before we leave. If it is if the two favorites win this weekend, San Francisco and Baltimore, what does that have to do with the colors of the Super Bowl logo? Doug called it. He made you money. I mean, we're gonna post that clip ad nauseum next week. If that happens.
You guys. I told you. I tried to tell you.
We're gonna have to do that. Well, that's a wrap for today. We thank you guys for all your questions. Again, I apologize for not getting to them all. Keep them coming. We will do some Q&As in a couple weeks. If you have a burning question that we didn't get to, DM it to us on our Instagram page, and I will make sure it gets answered for you. We thank the Bamboozle Project as always for their sponsorship. Check out www.thebamboozleproject.com. Use a promo code MYPB and save yourself 20%. We thank DraftKings as well. Enjoy a conference championship weekend. And thankfully, Ranger fans, tonight is the last 10:30 game of the road trip, because these 10:30 weeknight games are awful. Last late night game. And Rangers then back home against Vegas on Friday night up in Ottawa, and then off on the bye. Have a great rest of your week.